Not sure if that worked. How's it going? Barry, this is for you. You better be watching. Live, in fact. I just had, hi everybody. Hi, this is Nicole Jensian. Yeah, I may not have done a live for a little while, but I've done other videos one of which I posted, but I ran into a dear friend, Barry Meverock, ironically at Shalva. Like, what a coincidence. You wouldn't believe that I get to, I'll tell you, like, Shalva is just this amazing place in Jerusalem for kids with special needs. And I was there with a group, and suddenly I see like people I know all, and then I'm like, oh, that's another group. And then as like settling down from like saying hi to a million other people, somebody else walks in, and it's so funny. So Shalva, has this great program where you can do a project with these young adults with special needs that are there for vocational training. And so then this other smaller group walks in, and I look and I'm like, wow, like, are they Knesset members? What, like, they're dressed up like suit and tie, like very rare for being anywhere in Israel. And so I look, and one of the young women I'm working with, she turns around, she looks at them, she goes, oh, they're foreigners, like clearly they're foreigners. They're dressed too well. I was laughing so hard. So anyway, it turns out I'm like, but I know that guy. Where do I know him from? And it took me, I don't know why it took me so long. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the ambassador of Armenia. So I was like, oh, I got to go say hi. So anyway, so that was really cool. But anyway, so Barry's right. I haven't done a live in a while. I've been slacking. But I've got to now. I've got to do something about this. Like, what is this? Is this really how my hair is? Oh my God. Anyway. But I have to now, because you know what? Because pretty soon we're going to be watching another civil war in Syria. I mean, I know we just had one. I think it was like in 2011. When did it start? In any case, now, you just had this little this event that went on to the backdrop of whatever is happening. It was between Israel and Hamas, and then Israel and Hezbollah, and Israel and the Houthis. And suddenly, while nobody was paying attention, this rebel group led by Julani, who is now leader. What is HTS? Wow, I forgot the name. Wow, I was like all into it back then, and now I can't. I'm not getting like the names really fast. But they just kind of swept through Syria from north to south, and suddenly they were in Damascus, and they took over. And Assad just disappeared. And oh, hello, Kim. Yes, I know. I was actually just shockingly looking at that. I'm like, next Saturday, I'm actually going to see you. We have an Old City tour next Saturday, right? Yeah. Okay. That is like when you booked this months ago, I was like, March. I can't think that far ahead. Who knows if they'll even shut the country down again. But okay, so back to the rebels. So Julani, who's former ISIS, al-Nusra Front, wanted terrorist, is now the leader of Syria. And international leaders are going to Syria to meet with him and to legitimize his government. Bashar al-Assad fled. Not really sure. There's rumors that he's in Russia, but he left. And of course, now he was a murderous dictator, and people were, yeah, I mean, you've heard of the Sindaya prison, or I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. That was full of like unidentified bodies, or people, like the bodies aren't even found. Like, just so many people are unaccounted for, that just disappeared, were arrested and disappeared. And yeah, horrible. But now what you've got is this total all the factions. They're not factions, but ethnic and religious minorities or groups. You've got, of course, there are some Christians. Then there's the Alawites, and that's a form of Islam that Assad was also. You have the Druze, which is a secret religion more toward, I think it's in the vein of Islam, but not 100% sure because secretive religion. And the Druze occupy the entire southern border of Syria, just they're on the border with Israel. In fact, there are families that when the borders changed after one of the wars, their Syrian Druze ended up being in Israel and separated from their families. And hello, mom, which I means and dad probably, and Jeanette, and it also is also Michael and Anne. Are they with you? Because that would be really cool. Say hi for me if they are, and hi, Jeanette. It's awesome to catch you guys live. Thank you very much. So Syria, I've been following the news like little scattered reports for the last week. But in the last couple of days, it has heated up so seriously that some estimates are that 1,000 people have been killed. That it started, well, I don't know how it started, but there was fighting between Alawites and the forces, the police forces of the current government, which is, there's still some of them wearing ISIS logos on their police uniforms, even though Giuliani is like somehow, said reformed and no longer on the terrorist list or something. Um, but the police are still, or the enforcers, I don't know if you would call them military or police, whatever, the security forces are wearing ISIS logos. There was something that happened between the Alawites and the HTS. And let me tell you what has happened since then. They have gone into the Alawite villages are on the coast, in the western coast, and they are forcing them. I've seen the videos, forcing them to crawl on all fours, and then they are shooting them in mass. They're riding around on motorcycles, just shooting at anybody that's still alive. I've heard that also Christians are being caught up in this and also being killed. Um, it is just so barbaric and so vile. They're actually digging mass graves. Look, I'm watching this other one. Oh my gosh, they're abusing even young children. There's one, they're beating this kid in the streets. I mean, I'm getting videos that are like this. I don't open them. Okay, I don't dare open them because I don't know if I should. I don't know. I mean, I want to understand the full effect of what's happening, but at the same time, don't. I don't know if I want to see people actually being killed. Um, so anyway, so this person is saying like I don't have particularly sympathy for the Alawites, but what Giuliani's men are doing to this sect is unimaginable horror, a complete loss of humanity. And then he writes, ISIS equals Hamas equals Abu Muhammad al-Giuliani's men. Here, let me back up. I want to get you some more details because to me, this is the story that is probably going to be lost because it's not nobody, because nobody can understand it. Nobody understands the what's happening in Syria. I mean, if this is accurate, these are some of the people killed. These were Facebook culled from Facebook by this particular this channel here. I never looked up Michelle Issa. Who's Michelle Issa, the new U.S. ambassador to? I will look that. I'm going to look this guy up. Michelle Issa is the new U.S. ambassador to Lebanon. He's of Lebanese descent. So, meanwhile, one of the reasons that you won't read about this is many countries are going to try to whitewash the new Syrian regime. For instance, Qatar somehow, and this is interesting how there's so much going on here. And if I told you all the stories I heard this week, like my brain is like, I've had it up to hear with stories I've heard. And even now, look, I mean, massive protests still going on in Israel every week. These are for the remaining 59 hostages. But somewhere in the midst of this, I saw that Qatar expressed support for the Syrian government and condemned other factions in Syria. And I was like, oh, wow, what's happening? I didn't realize. And then I do actually, wow, I remember that writing about this or reporting this at one point, that Qatar has long been interested in an oil pipeline that would need to go through Syria. So that's probably, yes. Okay. Now, why is also this very important? Because you've got Israeli interests on the southern border of Syria because, number one, as soon as this happened, as soon as the rebels came in, Israel was like, yeah, we're moving in. And they moved immediately into the demilitarized zone. I mean, there was still a war going on in Gaza, still a war going on with Hezbollah. It was just on the ends of that. And Israel immediately put military in the demilitarized zone. Many people are saying that Israel is unilaterally usurping sovereign territory of Syria and that they're very close to Damascus. So you have Israeli interests, you have Lebanese interests. In some ways, you have, of course, Iranian interests on another side. But what country was in Syria for years, since most of this wrapped up, the what do you call it, the civil war? You know what country had military bases, and actually that Israel would notify, we're going to do some aerial bombings against Hezbollah targets in such and such areas of Syria, and kind of get permission, not permission, whatever. It was this understated thing that probably it's not even official. Do you know? You want to know? Russia. And Russia is still in some areas of Syria. So what's happening is a lot of these Alawites and Christians are now fleeing to a Russian base that's south of Latakia, and trying to get out. So this is, let me see if I have any videos. No, I mean, I don't have some pictures, but it's just unbelievable. So you've got Israel, you have Israel, Iran, Russia, Lebanon. Who else? Turkey. You also have Turkey, and Turkey was, it seemed, who was behind this whole the whole move for the rebels to come in, and basically meaning that Turkey is on Israel's border. Turkey, who has generally been um, uh, especially during the war. Of course, they were anti-Israel, but so interesting. I'm listening to this guy. He's a Syrian. He's Syrian. He is Armenian background, and he lives outside of Syria now. I don't know why, but I listened to his analyses, and he says that Turkey and Israel are just playing, they're actually in cahoots. And so, I mean, he definitely is anti-Israel and anti-Turkey, but he thinks that they're together. Whereas based on some of the stuff that I've reported about what Turkey is doing here in Jerusalem, just in terms of charitable organizations, charitable outreach, and also buying property, I was thinking the opposite. But anyway, so this has the potential to drag in a bunch of countries, and also, where does the U.S. stand? Lately, I heard that the U.S. is going to ignore it. This was one analysis, a little bit anti-U.S. bent, so that the U.S. is going to be ignoring this and allow it to go on, because they're going to back Giuliani, because Giuliani is the U.S.'s guy. That's why they took the wanted terrorist off of his name, etc. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just watching what the heck is going on, and it's murderous and barbaric, and it's back to the days of ISIS. Look, here's another one. Difficult to watch, a scene like a blacked out screen, another video. By the way, what's going on here in my backyard? What's going on here? We are in the eye of the storm. We're in no man's land between phase 1 of the ceasefire and the unnegotiated and unagreed upon phase 2. We're just in no man's land. And yes, for the most part, the ceasefire is standing. There are some Israeli attacks still in Gaza, like here and there, sporadic. They say, oh, we, caught a rocket launcher or terrorist, this or that, whatever. Israel's still bringing aid into the Strip, though not, Palestinians say not as agreed upon. There's 59 hostages, 35 of whom are confirmed dead. So maximum there would be 24. We just had signs of life of a couple of the hostages come out in the last week, including one that came out yesterday. And I just heard right before I got on the protest tonight, which is the protests are like calling for the government to just do a deal. Military operations are not going to get the hostages out alive. So make a deal, all or nothing, and know what they say, selexia. What would that be? Favoritism, because there were rumors at the beginning of this week, reports. I don't know if they were rumors or not, that President Trump was working on a deal to get out all the remaining American hostages. Now, I'm going to say a few things about Trump and the deal with the hostages. First of all, he just hosted a bunch of former hostages there at the White House, and even ones that were just like some of the recent ones that got out. They're still not we still don't know how healthy they are, whatever. Anyway, they're just no, they are full in on campaigning to get out the other hostages, and they already are in this trip to DC, and they are all thanking Trump. And I was just talking to somebody else today who's not American, not Israeli, just saying that if he doesn't even like Trump, but they said it was all Trump. Like this, any of the hostage releases and anything that's happening with the war right now, where it's at, all has to do with Trump. So, and it didn't happen with Biden, and it's not happening with Netanyahu. So the hostage families are addressing Trump. They're thanking Trump, and they're addressing him. They're not even addressing their own prime minister. They're going straight to Trump. Did we already finish the other one?
No, I can't find the other one. I looked all over the fridge.
Okay. Raya's back.
Raya.
Yeah.
The sick girl.
Raya's sick again. Oh my gosh, so is Daniel.
And guess what?
It's like the never-ending round.
Who's on the live? 8 people.
Oh. Mimi Gong Gong with Michael and Ann, Jeanette and Kim. And Kim's coming. She's going to be here next week.
Oh my gosh, I look like a mess. Sorry, guys.
You look like a mess. Look at me. I didn't even. I should look before I do a live. Kim, you know Kim
Kardashian?
Yes, she's on her way here. Where was I, guys?
Oh, Kim! So I have a dance competition next Sunday. And I'm sick, so I have to get better because I'm trying to dance.
Yep. And her training was to spend all day today watching reruns of Dance Moms. It's hilarious.
Show them my dress.
Go ahead, show them your dress. I'll get to the hooties in a second.
Show my
Ah,
dress.
Mimi says hi. I bet it's not just Mimi. It's Mimi Gong Gong and Anna Michael.
Show my dress.
It actually looks really cool on. It's amazing. Anyway, but I want to tell you another funny thing about Trump. But I'm going to lose my hootie speech, my hootie thing. Oh, wait. So it's getting back to, I was saying we're in the eye of the storm with this, where the second phase has not been negotiated because the second phase is much more difficult because what would be the future of Hamas? Hamas wants to stay in power, and many people, of course, no, because it'll connect to my thing. You go sit in your room. You have a room for a reason.
But I don't want to be in it.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah, second phase, very difficult because will they oh, Kim was wishing you to get well soon so you can dance your heart out. Just please make sure that these do not connect to my computer.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. I was putting on headphones.
So now it's better.
I'm just not going to turn it off. I'm not dealing with that. Okay, so good. Okay. All right. I can move on safely. Yeah, so that's why phase 2 is taking a while. But then Trump tried to jump in, or Trump, Witkoff, who knows, to try to get out the American hostages that are left, which is then Israelis were like, well, that's not fair. What about, if we're born to only one citizenship? Not fair. Anyway, that seemed to not have worked out, and it's not on the table right now. But in the meantime, the Houthis, remember the Houthis in Yemen? They finally chilled out, but they said they just said this yesterday, we are declaring a 4-day ultimatum at the end of which, if aid does not enter Gaza, we will renew our naval attacks against the enemy. A siege will be met with a siege. So what had been going on is they had been patrolling the Red Sea and attacking ships there, anything that had Israeli connection, but also U.S. ships and others. The UK and also got involved in the U.S. And that was the only way that any of them were involved in this particular war was against the Houthis. Otherwise, there have not been any foreigners involved in the war here. Although they are saying that, the U.S. and Israel did some kind of joint military exercise. So now they're saying that perhaps that there is that the U.S. will do something in Gaza. Don't know if that's the case. Okay. I am trying to find the exact statement because I can only read that. You can't make this stuff up. This is President Donald Trump puts out a statement where he says, Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you do not do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning. For the leadership, now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead, all caps. Make a, all caps, smart decision, and then all caps from here to the end. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So there you go. Stronger statement than came out of anywhere else. Anyway, that was March 5th. So 3 days ago. And then after that, the Houthis was, I think, March 6th or 7th. So the Houthi ultimatum, we got the Trump ultimatum, we got the Houthi ultimatum. What else? What else? You know that they finally buried Nasrallah in Lebanon. They decided that the Israelis weren't going to attack. That's been holding strong. Their, what do you call it? Their the ceasefire there. So like, okay, it's safe to come out and to bury the leader. There's also been a lot going on here in terms of military shakeups. There's Daniel Hagari, who was the spokesman, and he just announced yesterday that he will be retiring from the military. So Daniel Hagari had been the military spokesman, the face since October 7th, that did all of the press briefings. And I just heard somebody on Israeli radio say, it was yesterday, and it wasn't even a political show. He was just like, before we start the show, I just want to say, based on this news that he's going to be leaving, he's the only one that actually addresses the media. And of course, that was like a jab at the government and Netanyahu, who has done very few press conferences since the start of the war. But meanwhile, this guy stood up there every day, almost on a daily basis, especially at the beginning, and would, he would give his briefing, and then he would say, "Shalot," questions, and it was just, to the point where he became a character on the Israeli version of Saturday Night Live, and so it was just funny then to watch. So what else? There's tons more. I will talk about Armenia. So I just heard today a voice recording from Ruben Vardanyan, who is an Armenian prisoner in an Azeri prison. He was I guess a leader in Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh, and he was arrested after the 10-month siege on Artsakh by the Azeris, which nobody really stepped in to stop. I mean, there were a lot of people in the world that said that's very bad, don't do that, but nobody stopped them. He was arrested while, all of the 120,000 Armenians fled after Azerbaijan came in to the enclave to take over. So he was arrested on his way out, as were several others. And he has been tried there as like this mock trial, and he doesn't have a proper lawyer. It's in the Azeri language, and he speaks Russian and Armenian. He doesn't speak Azeri. So anyway, he has embarked upon a hunger strike recently, and he left, I guess, got a voice message out through a lawyer or somebody, and it was really like, I should post it so you could see it, so you could listen to it yourself. But he talked about just something that struck me toward the end, where he said that I used to think that of the 7 deadly sins, that pride and envy were the worst. But now I think despair is actually the worst, because it means you've given up your spirit. And he said, I don't want to be that person. And he just talked about how he's chosen this path, and that everybody has to choose their own path, and that and to just believe that it will be for a greater good. And I was just like, wow, it's like a Bonhoeffer moment. It feels like. So anyway, he is now in danger of never being able to reach the outside world, because Azerbaijan has kicked out the Red Cross from its country. And the Red Cross is supposed to be there to be, in touch with prisoners. Of course, we saw how that didn't quite work out in Gaza with the hostages, but uh, they just became like a taxi service, and that actually also became a skit on the Israeli Saturday Night Live, which was like, call Red Cross for your ride, out of captivity or whatever. Anyway, um, you should look that up. I think it is circulating out there on YouTube and wherever else you can watch videos. But so Azerbaijan is in danger now of being a place that's closed off and with no access. Now, the Armenians aren't the only political prisoners there. There are also Azeris, journalists, and others of dissidents who have spoken up or have protested against the government, and they also are in prison. But now nobody will have access to the outside world. Um, I will refer you to my page on either or to Facebook or YouTube, where you can see an interview I did with Jacob Persley, who is based in Yerevan and in the capital of Armenia, and where he talks about something very interesting that only he picked up on, that I didn't, there was nowhere else. And I'm pretty connected with, those streams of media, that the NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters, just came out with a statement in like for Armenia, like protecting our Christian brothers in Armenia and the injustices, etc. Like, shocking statement. Now, the NRB is extremely pro-Israel. Like, they have an entire like events and a day maybe even dedicated to Israel, and a lot of booths that are there outside the convention center that are all like, I mean, I know personally so many people from Israel who go just to like Israeli organizations that want to be a part of that, and get attention, of course, get donations, etc. Of course, right? So it was a pleasant surprise to see Armenia get in on their list there, because it's generally not a big issue for evangelical Christians. So Jacob said that that our evangelicals and Armenians, it's like it should be like a natural relationship, but for some reason that has not worked out. Instead, the evangelicals usually focusing on Israel. And he said, why not Armenia? I mean, we've got the same values. We're both Christian. We're like, look, anyway. Also, he calls Armenia, like visiting Armenia, like the second Israel, because it is so biblical. So anyway, I highly recommend it. Okay, I'm wrapping up. Now, I just will not answer this last question because the answer is I don't know. What is happening in the northeast of Syria with the Kurds and the U.S.? Okay, last I heard was weeks ago that there was some kind of ceasefire between the Kurds and the Turks. So I don't know. With all of this going on right now, I haven't heard what's happening in the north. So I'm not sure. So let's see if this deterioration in the south and the west extends to the north. But all I can say, guys, is this is what we need to watch in the coming weeks, because, and it could be even days, because Syria looks like it's disintegrating into.
I'm so sorry.
Syria looks like it's about to disintegrate or go like become parts of different. I don't even know. And a lot of people are being slaughtered. So anyway, with that, I am going to sign off. Thank you, Bethany. I appreciate it. So I appreciate you watching, appreciate you tuning in. It's okay, Raya. You don't have to apologize. It happens. It happens. People burp on air all the time. Anyway, I mean, Daniel usually sings, but the door is closed very well. So anyway, thank you for joining. and for tuning in. And I'll be back. Check out the Armenia video in my feed on Facebook or on my page on YouTube. I mean, links to YouTube, but the Facebook one's linked to YouTube. But check that out because it's really good. And coming up, as soon as I edit it, which could be tomorrow or the next day, Easter 2025 in Jerusalem. I spoke with a Catholic priest from here in Jerusalem. He's originally American, but he's been here for 25 years or so. I spoke with him about what to expect this Easter because the dates for the Eastern and Western Easters on the same day this year. So it's going to be fun in the old city. Anyway, check it out. Stay tuned, and I will see you soon.